From one user taking out loans to YOLO it all on crypto, to another user making nearly $10 million, we're gonna go over the craziest crypto trades of the year. Random Chicky Bum is a user who stumbled upon a once-in-a-lifetime fortune, but accidentally let it slip out of his hands. He started his journey with only $100, but holy smokes, did this guy have a heck of a trading streak. He started trading on the day the election results came out, and instantly started making money. I don't even know what platform this is honestly, but someone commented that it's likely Kraken with 50x leverage. Well, he put that 50x leverage to work and made about $500 his first day trading. This might not sound all that impressive, but this was a 500% gain from his start point. The next day though, he made about $6,000. Insane considering he started with $100 2 days ago. He wasn't done though. The next day, he made about $3K. He had now 100x'd his portfolio in just 3 days. Surely he was done. The next day, he YOLO'd it all again and got his biggest gain yet, 47K in a day. He more than 500x'd his portfolio. Someone please tell him to stop trading and lock in his gains. He wasn't ready to walk away yet though, and got ready for another day of trading. By now, you would expect him to have lost it all, but no, he actually beat his previous record, $63,000 in 1 day. He now had $126,000 in his Kraken account, which is unbelievable considering he started with $100 just 5 days ago. He wanted to continue pushing his luck, and surprisingly, he had his biggest trade ever the next day. Except, it was the biggest in the downwards way. His whole entire portfolio completely evaporated, and he kissed his 126K goodbye. He said, started the account with $100 on election results day, degened it all the way to 125K before losing it all trying to short 5 mil Bitcoin. LMAO. Random Chicky Bum's journey was insanely risky, but not as risky as browsing the web unprotected. That's where the sponsor of today's video, CyberGhost VPN, comes in. CyberGhost is one of the most trusted VPN services in the world with nearly 40 million users and more than 20,000 5-star reviews on Trustpilot. Being involved in crypto and actively trading it is already risky enough. The last thing you need is to be tracked by your internet provider, your employer, or even hackers out to get your Dogecoin. CyberGhost encrypts all your traffic and routes it through secure servers across more than 100 different countries. Not only does this boost your online privacy, but it also lets you watch shows and movies that might be blocked in your region on platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more. By switching your location through CyberGhost, you can access region-blocked sites and even find cheaper prices on things like flights. It will work on all your devices and covers up to 7 at once, which should have all your bases covered. Plus, if you use the link down below in the description, you'll get access to CyberGhost for just $2.03 a month, plus 4 months free, which is just about 84% off. On top of all of this, they even give you a 45-day money-back guarantee. If you want to try it out essentially risk-free for the first month and a half, click the link down below in the description. Sora1274 is someone who began their public journey on WallStreetBets at the end of December. Sora had what some would call beginner's luck. With just $1,500 in his account, things weren't looking particularly promising. Sora felt like crypto was due for another run, and he had his eyes set on Mara. He decided to put this $1,500 into calls on the stock that expired only a week later. Mara began rallying, and Sora's portfolio went through the roof. This initial gain wasn't enough though. He felt like crypto still had more room to run, so he would repeat this process 3 times over. For a whole month, he bought Mara calls that expired 1 week later. Using this strategy, he managed to grow his portfolio to a whopping $73,000. This was a 48x gain on his originally $1,500 position. Flash forward a month, and Sora would return to the subreddit. This time, his post wasn't as positive. I'm dead inside, but thank God it's Friday. Sora includes a screenshot that shows he's down an astounding $54,000 just for the day. His portfolio was now only worth $8,000, which is a pretty steep drop considering it was worth $73K a month before this. Thought it would be a good idea to get some Coinbase daily call options. AMD position was very minimal. Sora made an impressive amount of money with crypto-related stocks and proceeded to lose it all with crypto-related stocks. At this point, you would expect Sora to be all out of luck. His portfolio was down about 90%, and crypto's run took a short-lived pause. Sora decided it was time to ditch crypto. Coincidentally enough, Meta would be reporting earnings soon. Inspired by Mark Zuckerberg's gains in the gym, he decided to YOLO his entire portfolio into Meta calls that expired at the end of the week. Friday came along, and Meta reported their earnings. The company did stupendously well for the fourth quarter, and the stock rose just over 20% for the day. Sora's portfolio had thankfully been saved. Last Friday, I went from 62,000 to 8,000, but today, I got it back. Stellar Lumens is a user who is all in. His first Reddit post came on November 15th when he posted about how bullish he was on Stellar. His portfolio at the time wasn't looking all that great. It was sitting at around $20,000, which was a 70% drop from its peak in the summer of 2022. He was ready to make it all back though, and luckily his XLM was skyrocketing. Like I said, his original post was made back on November 15th, and this was basically the perfect time to buy. On November 22nd, his portfolio jumped 150% all the way to $51,000. XLM continued its rally, and the very next day, he made another 17K. The coin rose 210% in just a week, and he was feeling on top of the world. 2 days later, his portfolio hit 105K and was up nearly 50% in a single day. 4 days later though, he was down 15K and his portfolio was at $90,000. Then, 3 days later, he posted, "Took a home equity loan against my house and went all in on XLM, #YOLO. Now, I'm pretty sure this is just a joke, but it does seem like it was probably a big chunk of his net worth. He then started giving us daily updates. 2 days later, down 5K, next day down 7K, next day up 6K, and he gave us his final update on day 18. His total amount invested was $100,000 and he was down 30K as of December 20th. Stellar Lumens did not tell his wife about any of this and didn't know how to break it to her, quite frankly. He originally thought he would be at 150K by Christmas and planned on telling her then, but now he just isn't so sure. Flash forward to the middle of August, and he never gave us any other updates, besides his post looking for advice on how to get rid of the scratch on the dash of his BMW X5. Bok Choy Slaps is a user who made hundreds of thousands of dollars with crypto, but then lost it all, but then came back hungrier than ever. Bok Choy Slaps had a portfolio worth just about 100K, which is great, but he was looking to multiply his money. He threw it all into one investment, which I'm not gonna spoil just yet, so place your bets on what you think it is. Anyway, back in 2021, he 4x'd his money, taking it to nearly 500K, but he never sold and his portfolio fell back to 100K, putting him at an 80% loss from the peak. Flash forward to 2024, and miraculously, he was back at his previous all-time high. He posted a screenshot of his portfolio to WallStreetBets, and even said that Robinhood was glitched. He actually started with $20,000, not 110K. Bok Choy Slaps also said, "Gains are from stocks over the years. Currently, I'm big on IBIT, getting into options though." It might sound like the story ends there, but that would not be the case. He said, "My portfolio looks completely different now than it did 3 years ago. We're at a different point in time with different factors and different assets comprising my portfolio. This is no indication of the top being in." Long Jumping Neck 106 commented with a screenshot of his own and said, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to see that Bok Choy Slaps' portfolio is either 100% Dogecoin or maybe like 98% at best." When confronted about all this, all he could say is nothing, actually. He just dropped explicit Shrek emojis. I'm assuming he kept most of his Dogecoin, but he also started buying calls on IBIT, which is a Bitcoin ETF. Only 19 days later though, he returned to the subreddit with unfortunate news. He lost $120,000 since his other post and was down about 27%. A month or so later, he posted some questionable technical analysis, but stopped posting about Dogecoin after that. Tiki is a user who just turned 24, but already has a pretty hefty bag thanks to crypto. Even though he now has riches in his portfolio, things weren't always this way. Back in November 2023, Tiki bought $15,000 worth of Ethereum, which was actually everything he had at the time. In retrospect, he knows that this is not very financially responsible, but even with the little amount of research he did, he was pretty confident that good things were to come. He got cooked with the last crypto cycle a couple years prior and was ready to get revenge. Tiki bought at pretty much the perfect time, because Ethereum started to rally and his portfolio 2x'd in value to $30,000. He waited a little bit to sell, but walked away with 28K, which is still pretty much a 2x. This was a pretty good sell too, cause Ethereum wouldn't rocket in value like a lot of other coins this bull run. He held his cash for a few weeks and started to do more research on altcoins. June of 2024 rolled along, and he shifted to Solana and found 2 new promising projects. He YOLO'd his whole portfolio evenly between the two and braced for impact. Admittedly, the first couple months were rocky, but by September, he was pretty deep into his research and was doing a good job at timing buys and sells on his coins. This can be chalked up to luck, of course, but hey, for now, he was up 175% on the 2 coins. Now being early on in November, he sold these 2 coins and bought back into Solana. With amazing timing once again, his position rocketed 30% in 2 weeks. This put him right under 100K, which means he was up 560% over the past year. Tiki knew that Christmas can be a rough time for crypto, so on December 3rd, he got into perpetual futures and started shorting Solana. This was a risky move, of course, and he used anywhere from 7 to 45x leverage. He initially had some losing trades, and 18% of his portfolio got snatched away. These were very scary times, because he says it's not like he grew up rich. This money was everything he had saved, and he did not want to see it go. Regardless, he dived right back into the game. And somehow, with some sort of miracle, he was able to 4x his money in the 2.5 weeks leading up to Christmas. Now at about 400K, he was done with perpetual futures. He stowed away $150,000 for savings, but plans on using the other $250K for investing in smaller projects, which is still risky, but hey, we'll see how things go. On December 26th, he shows off his portfolio worth $500,000. And says his new goal is $1 million. He even says he got no risk, no story tatted on him. YY Sleazy is a user who wanted to YOLO it all into crypto, except he wasn't going to use his own money to do it. No, he was going to take on credit card debt to do it. He took out 12.5K on one credit card, 6K on another, 10K on another, and 6K on the last one. This was a grand total of $35,000. There was 0% interest until February of 2025, but still, obviously, if he lost money, then he would be in real debt. He also threw in an additional 15K of his own money. Flash forward to the end of 2024, and luckily, he got the good ending. With $127,000 in his wallet, he could pay off his debt almost 4 times over. Except for some reason he didn't. It seems like he's gonna wait last minute to pay it all off, which I don't know if that's a strategy I would recommend. Some users called him out saying that this was a made up story, but he responded with a screenshot showing the balance transfer. Audio King is a user who made it to the final table at the World Series of Poker, invested in GameStop early on before its rally, and made a whole lot of money with crypto. He started investing way back in 2005 when he bought his first shares of Apple. 8 years later, in 2013, he bought Bitcoin, but this is just the beginning. Flash forward to 2020, and he had $80,000 sitting in his Robinhood account. He threw his money into GameStop and turned it into $450K by early 2021. But little did he know, 2022 was going to be a rough year for him. He had a rough breakup and had to sell most of his positions just to get back on his feet. This would be nothing compared to how hard he was about to get hit in the crypto world though. His holdings were wiped out with the collapse of platforms like FTX, Celsius, Voyager, and Nexo. It sounds like things were only getting worse and worse for him, but he did have one small light in this situation. One investment that would be his diamond in the rough, and oh, never mind, it was a Bored Ape. He bought a Bored Ape NFT for 100 Ethereum because he thought it was a good long-term investment. Well, now it's down over 90%. Flash forward again to May of 2023. He had 144K saved up and he was ready to get serious. By February, he made his way up to $225,000. A month later, he posted semiconductors and Bitcoin. He got his hands on a nearly 70% gain in the past month, and his portfolio was now worth $373K. He couldn't stop YOLOing, and by December, he was ready to make a new post. His Robinhood portfolio now had over $900,000 in it, and he was up 71% in the past month alone. His biggest holding is not specifically crypto, but it is MicroStrategy, which is pretty much a Bitcoin ETF. TapWorldly4997 is a user who got his hands on a fortune, but didn't even realize it. Years ago, he bought Dogecoin at an average cost of 1/3 of a cent. He threw $500 into it on Robinhood and honestly forgot about it. He finally remembered he had this Dogecoin in December of 2024 and booted up Robinhood to see an almost 14,000% gain. Just like Bok Choy Slaps, I don't think he's selling yet, so we'll just have to wait and see how things play out. Cedars is a user who knew the value of a true YOLO. A few years ago, Cedars was hit with quite the series of events. He quit his job, he was divorced, and he sold his house. After going through all of this, he knew what he needed to do. And what he needed to do, apparently, was YOLO all of his money into Bitcoin. He threw literally everything into crypto, with most of it being Bitcoin and a small percentage of Dogecoin. Flash forward to the start of 2024, and Cedars' investments were paying off. Up 53% on Bitcoin and 30% on Dogecoin, he now had $410,000 in his portfolio. He posted a screenshot of his portfolio to WallStreetBets, and some people were laughing at him. "You did all that and only got 8 Bitcoin? Truly regarded." But some other people had faith in his YOLO. Just imagine when Bitcoin hits 100K. Well, the crypto bulls were right, and as of 2025, his Bitcoin is now worth just under 1.1 mil, and his Dogecoin is worth 31K. Vakereals is a user who is known as the dumbest guy around on the WallStreetBets crypto subreddit, and things definitely aren't getting smarter for him. His first post on Reddit is pretty unrelated to crypto, so let's jump to January 20th. Vakereals had a Phantom wallet with coins that were pretty low risk compared to what we usually see. Coins like Ethereum, Solana, and even stablecoins like USDC. But these coins were collectively only worth $1,200. Where was that other $19,000 at? Well, if we scroll up a bit, we get the answer to that question pretty quickly. Vakereals had over $19,000 in Melania memecoin, and pretty quickly, he was thankfully up $300. It was worth about $7.50 a coin, but as of August, they're only worth 23 cents each. He didn't wait that long to sell, but he definitely lost a few thousand. Don't worry though, he ditched that stupid meme coin and picked up a real investment. A few days after that, he bought Ross Ulbricht's coin, and oh my goodness, he actually picked a winner. Just kidding. Hopefully he stays away from meme coins in the future. I Has an Email is someone who coincidentally managed to get his hands on a 290x gain. I Has an Email takes us back to the year 2015. One of his travel buddies, who we'll call Alex, was out living it up in Morocco and unfortunately ended up getting mugged while on this trip. I Has an Email is a pretty noble man, so he decided to lend Alex $250 in cash. This was a kind thing to do, but Alex was broke. He didn't want to pay him back in cash, but Alex did happen to own some Bitcoin. Bitcoin was trading at $230 a coin, so Alex decided to pay back I Has an Email through crypto. He sent over 1.05 Bitcoin and they called it even. After a couple years of stagnation, Bitcoin's hype started to snowball. I Has an Email had insane diamond hands and held this Bitcoin throughout 3 bull runs. His position is now worth 127,000, and it doesn't seem like he'll be selling anytime soon. IR God says, closed Mara position today, approximately $500,000 gain in the last 30 days. IR God achieved a 65.27% gain for the past month, which brings his portfolio to nearly 1.3 mil. What's up, boys? I GTFO of everything today. Year-to-date gains were well over a mil. Made roughly 500K with Mara options, plus about 100K from Riot options. After making a 7-figure gain with crypto-related stocks, he decided it was time to flip the switch. He transformed from a bull to a bear and acquired 100K worth of puts on Mara. After holding these puts for about 2 weeks, he started to get worried. It was January 8th, and Mara was still trading at $25.98. That being said, he decided to sell these puts for a $30,000 loss. 2 days after selling, the Bitcoin ETF acceptance news got out, and the price of Bitcoin would begin to fall. Mara fell 32.4% within 5 days of him selling, so it's safe to say he should have waited before letting go of his puts. Regardless though, he still made an insane profit overall. A user with a sus name doesn't really have much on his Reddit profile, but he does have this. Up 1,600% with nearly $6 million, his portfolio is looking pretty good. Invested $320K at the bottom of the bear market, late 2022. No trading, just staking and vibing. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment who had the craziest trade, and check out the link in the description to get the special discount CyberGhost VPN is offering to the viewers of the channel. CyberGhost protects your data while you browse and gives you full access to content that may be blocked in your region, all for just $2.03 a month.